I need to read before I forget. Black records. What is other? I don't know. Okay. Black Records 4. It's only 6 pages. That's great. I need a drink first. Alright. The Lionheart Emperor, year 994. Forgive me. You may leave now. Yes, sir. Please call for me if anything happens. The head butler, now in his later years, bowed before leaving. The other man sighed deeply as he lied down on the bed. He was elderly and sick. His well-trained body was as sturdy as a fortress still, and very few would ever doubt the condition of his health. However, he was clearly aging, weakening, and felt his end looming over the horizon. The Lionheart Emperor, otherwise known as Dreikels Rise Arner. He was the 73rd emperor and nearing the age of 70. After ending the 5-year-long civil war, known as the War of the Lions, Dreikels had been working tirelessly for 40 years. Although he was enthroned the year the war ended, he had lost his Nordic friends and parted with the witch. He and his vassals worked hard to restore the empire. I have no regrets. No need to worry about the children either. The Empress had also urged him to give up on thoughts of the past. She was the daughter of a marquis, who was assassinated during the Civil War, and although she was much younger than he, they fell deeply in love, and she bore him 2 sons and 2 daughters. Although she passed several years earlier, their children remained healthy and would shoulder the burden of the reconstructed empire's future. The next generation is being raised as well. In the first half of the war, his best friend, Roland Vander, gave his life to protect him. And now, Arner raised his son. The son was already in his 40s now, and he flourished as a martial arts master while serving as a military officer. Then there was Thor's military academy. He had established the academy 20 years prior. It was a place for the best and the brightest, accepting students from various backgrounds. He'd be surprised. He smiled, thinking of his good friend that had fallen into a deep slumber at the end of the Civil War. The academy had been constructed at the place they'd first met and where his friend now rested once more. These long years weren't for nothing then. As long as I can endure that thing until Adios comes for me, that is. Endure that thing. He cast his gaze to the corner of the room. There waited the nameless darkness. Today came again to speak to him, begging pathetically, threatening with intimidation, subtly tempting. He knew what it was, ever since that day 40 years ago when he took the throne. I suppose I should be happy my children and their descendants won't suffer the same curse. If he were not a man with the heart of a lion, he would surely have been broken by this daily torment long ago. On this day, however, he had a second visitor. Dreikels? An incredibly harmonious voice called out his name, bringing with it a wave of nostalgia. He looked up to see a woman with hair like flowing gold standing at his side. Interesting. Okay. Where's number 3 and 5, though? That's what I want to know. Or, like, number 1? Interesting. So maybe the thing that was trying to tempt Dreikels is possessing Cedric. Maybe Cedric doesn't suck. Gonna hold out hope. Oh, Randy, you're still here. Yeah, I thought I'd finish prepping some things for military science. Oh, yeah. Didn't you want to ask me something, Reed? I don't know, did I? About the direction Crossbell's heading in, especially after those field exercises? Oh, yeah, I did, but I don't want to get you into any trouble or anything. So consider it. But don't worry, I don't have that much info. I hear the SSS has started operations again, at least. Not that it super matters, since they're still under the Governor General's thumb. That much should be more than clear enough, considering what happened the other day. Sorry, I don't know what to say. Hey, Reen, you're not responsible for Rufus's crappy actions or your biological father's crappy actions. Just disassociate. It's not something you need to feel sorry about. Those guys were ready for the long haul from the start. They're going to persevere and push on like they always have. If anything, I think Calvard's the bigger issue here. I heard they've officially equipped Tangram Gate with railway cannons right by the border with Calvard. Yeah, seems like they've got some large-scale construction underway for that. But yeah, with all that in mind, we gotta brace ourselves for when... geez, what am I saying? It's just the two of us here. Take it easy. Thanks. Being around you sure turns me into a real blabbermouth for some reason. In any case, right here, right now, I'm a Thor's instructor, first and foremost. I'll keep on doing what's expected of me to the best of my ability. Is that all you have to say? Yeah. Okay. There is some kind of event in here with Aurelia. Please don't make me fight you again. I really don't want to fight you again. Like, literally ever. Ah, the rain is nice. I know you're familiar with Eastern culture. Do you write haiku? My master did, but I'm completely clueless when it comes to those. On top of all your other artistic pursuits, do you write poetry too? What can I say? Perhaps I take after my predecessor. In any event, I saw the images. He is indeed very similar. Not only that machine of his, but his voice and even the way he carries himself. Did you know him too? The Azure Chevalier was the young hero of the Noble Alliance. I only spoke with him a handful of times, but I remember thinking how young he looked, especially standing next to Cayenne. After the war, when I heard of his death, I remember thinking what a waste it was, losing such a young man with a bright future. But that's the extent of my relationship with him, so let's leave it at that. I'll leave it to you and Herschel how we interpret this masked man, including determining whether he is friend or foe to us here at the branch campus. Understood. I'll see to it. Alongside Instructor Herschel and all my other friends. I shall look forward to it. I don't know, how bad could the gnomes be, right? I'd like to begin writing haiku, but I'm not well versed in Eastern poetry. I'll need to study them so I can compose my own someday. She's so driven in everything she does. It's actually kind of scary. What kind of poetry would Aurelia write? I don't know that the world is ready for that. Hi, Michael. Why are you just pacing this hallway? Toa? Since when do you work in the library? I had a little free time, so I thought I'd stop by and update the library's catalog. But Celestine's pretty much taking care of that already. All hail the mighty Celestine. Nothing gets by him. You know, this academy really has come a long way. Right, no small thanks to Becky and Lind. Once they arrived, this campus's facilities really got going. Any chance that means you can start taking it a little easier? Maybe a little. Or it at least frees my schedule up so I can help out in new, different ways. That might be the most Toa thing you've ever said. Still, things have gotten easier for us in a lot of ways. The students are working really hard themselves. It's only right that I do the same. Is that all you have to say? Yes. Does that mean there's new books? Recommended reading new. I think I've read that. Understanding board games. Have we read this? I feel like no. The Empire has many traditional board and card games. Historically, they were enjoyed as a pastime of the common people with noble taste. Recently, card games based on this historical background have been created. This book introduces such games that are enjoyed by people of all ages. Chess, a game where two people battle with 16 pieces. I'm so over chess right now. I've been playing Blue Prince, and if I see another chess piece, I'm going to die. Anyway, 16 pieces with 6 different types. Bring the opponent's king to bay, checkmate, to win. It was created as part of nobles' education, but is popular among all people, with imperial and international professional leagues. Checkers, a 2-person game that uses an 8x8 chessboard where 12 red and black pieces can only move diagonally. The pieces are commonly included with a chess set. Internationally, rules for a 10x10 board also exist. Backgammon, a game that is a race to get 15 pieces on the board to the goal first. The use of dice makes the game luck-based, and it requires long-term strategy. It's also a common game at casinos and was previously banned by imperial law. Dominoes, a game that uses a set of tiles with 2 numbers, like the face of a die. 2 to 4 people can play this game, which is characterized by puzzle-like gameplay of placing tiles to match numbers. There are many different ways to play, and they can even be used for domino toppling. I don't think I ever learned how to play dominoes proper, but I did learn how to play Mahjong. I feel like I like Mahjong better. Cards, the well-known base to many card games. Several different games can be played with the deck of 52 cards that has 13 of each of the suits: spades, diamonds, clubs, and hearts. Popular games are poker, bridge, blackjack, Old Witch, also called Old Maid. I was going to say I've never heard of Old Witch, and many more. Can also be used for a card matching memory game and building card towers. Blade, a battle card game thought up in the Durai region. The name Blade is said to have come from playing by placing cards with numbers and weapon motifs on top of one another. Later, Blade 2, with expanded rules, was developed. Vantage Masters, a competitive battle card game that originated in Western Erebonia. Summon and use spirit cards called Nadial with earth, water, fire, and air attributes to whittle down the health of each other's master card. Rules and card types were recently adjusted, and further developments are expected. I forgot Pom Pom Party. I would like to forget Pom Pom Party. Okay, that was a new book for me. The Northern War. 12 pages? So much reading today. Outbreak. On November 3rd, 1205, a pitch-black shadow burst through the Dnieper Gate? What is this word? On the southwestern border of the state of Northumbria. It was a special black Hector model of Panzersoldat, the personal machine of Brigadier General Wallace Bardius of Sutherland's provincial army. Its giant cross spear scattered the northern Jaegers and the autonomous weapons known as archaisms they had guarding the gate, and a golden Panzersoldat leading a 100-strong battalion from the Empire of Erebonia entered the country. The one piloting the golden machine was none other than the commander of Lemaire's provincial army, Aurelia Le Guin, the Golden Rakshasa. That day, the remnants of the Noble Alliance's forces invaded Northumbria under her and Brigadier General Bardius's command. It was with this show of force that their campaign began, and the same force would see it concluded in a matter of days. The battle that ensued would later come to be known as the Northern War. Background. The seeds of conflict were planted during the Empire's Civil War the year prior. A Jaeger Corps based out of Northumbria, known as the Northern Jaegers, was hired by the Noble Alliance to fight the Imperial Army in Kreutzen. During this time, they took part in an attack on the market town Keldic under orders of Duke Helmut Albarea of the Four Great Houses, burning Keldic to the ground in the process. After the war, the Duke was tried for his actions, but as the Jaegers were the ones who set the fires, they were deemed to be at fault for the destruction wrought on the town. Thus, in June of the following year, the Empire made a claim for reparations to the Jaegers' homeland of Northumbria. Though the state of the Jaeger... That's crazy, by the way. Hey, I hired you to burn down my town, and then you burned down my town, so I'm gonna sue you. Like, what? Insanity. Though the state of the Jaeger Corps were two sides of the same coin, of the Kame coin? I assume that's meant to be same. The Northumbria Diet argued they were not, in fact, affiliated. The Diet condemned the burning of Celtic as inhumane, but had no possible way of paying the sums requested due largely to the chronic financial troubles that had plagued the state ever since the Northumbrian disaster in 1178. As the Diet debated over how to proceed in the face of mounting pressure from the Empire, the Northern Jaegers suddenly staged a coup, quickly occupying the Parliament building. They were assisted by a large number of the aforementioned archaisms supplied to them by the same international criminal organization that acted behind the scenes during the Imperial Civil War, Ouroboros. On July 5th, 1205, the Northumbrian government, still under occupation by the Northern Jaegers, issued a formal refusal to pay reparations to Erebonia. The imperial government took the situation seriously and attempted negotiations through a number of different channels, but ultimately failed to make any headway. With its diplomatic options exhausted, the Empire turned to the still hostile remnants of the Noble Alliance forces that had barricaded themselves in the Mare's Juno naval fortress at the end of the Civil War. Seeing an opportunity to solve two problems at once, the imperial government made an offer to the barricaded troops: invade and conquer Northumbria in exchange for amnesty for their part in the war. Le Guin and Bardius accepted the offer, vacating the naval fortress at the end of August, and after 2 months of planning in tandem with the Intelligence Division and the Railway Military Police, the invasion was ready. Campaign. By the way, it was Campanella who sold archaisms to them. Of course it was. Of course it was. After breaking through the defenses at the Dnieper, gates, the Empire's combined provincial armies marched to Northumbria's capital of Haliask, suppressing the Northern Jaegers' bases in small towns such as Kilva and Lively along the way. In just 3 days, they had reached their destination. There, they found that the Northern Jaegers had deployed large archaisms across the entire city, even going so far as to release them into the streets, essentially taking the civilians hostage in a last-ditch effort to stop the Empire's advance. General Le Guin surrounded the city and was tasked with negotiating on behalf of the Empire. She gave the Jaegers a week to surrender before she would begin her assault on the city. In response to the rising tensions, the Bracer Guild headquarters in Le Mans dispatched a large number of high-ranking bracers to the city in an attempt to mediate and help the civilians trapped there. Meanwhile, the imperial government called upon the Ashen Chevalier, Reen Schwarzer, and his Divine Knight to deploy to Haliask in order to neutralize the archaisms. However, time was short, and General Le Guin's deadline was fast approaching. Okay, well, this explains why in all of the, little flashback images of the Northumbria War, why we always see Sarah. Now we know. Conclusion. On November 12th, the Ashen Chevalier, a number of high-ranking bracers, and elite members of the Railway Military Police infiltrated the city in a concerted effort to neutralize the archaisms and Jaegers patrolling the streets and get the trapped civilians to safety. They were successful in evacuating the civilians and destroying a large number of the archaisms, but before they knew it, the weak General Le Guin had given the Jaegers was up. On the morning of November 13th, the battalion of Panzer Soldats that had encircled Haliask began their advance. Led by commanders Le Guin and Bardius, they pulverized the city's outer defenses, drove back the Jaegers, and made their way into the city proper. By noon of the same day, they had seized control of the Parliament building. Thanks to the efforts of the Ashen Chevalier, the Bracers, and the RMP, civilian casualties were extremely low. Further, due to the sheer overwhelming power of the general's advance, many Jaegers chose to flee over holding their ground, resulting in surprisingly few casualties among their number as well. By the end of the day, all the remaining members of the thousands-strong Northern Jaegers had completely surrendered. Annexation. When the dust had settled, imperial dignitaries arrived on the scene and began detailed negotiations to bring a formal end to the conflict. Because Northumbria's economy had been dependent on funds brought in by the Northern Jaegers, the state had no way to rebuild itself without them, much less pay the reparations demanded by the Empire. In the face of objections from both the Bracer Guild and the Septian Church, concerns voiced by neighboring countries, and an outright denouncement from Calvard, the Empire announced on November 30th that it would be annexing the formerly independent state. Finally, on December 23rd, Emperor Eugene III gave his approval, and the Northumbria province of the Erebonian Empire was formally established. Written by Nielsen. Okay. Learned things. They forgot to mention that Reed lost control of his ogre mode then. That's not fit for the public to know. Oh god. Are there more books here? I've like read all of these, right? Okay, it didn't say any of those were new. Okay. It did not update our list after reading those. Okay. Okay. Do I have to click on these individually to get them added to... 30 pages, my god. One day we'll actually read this Red Moon stuff. One day. Probably. There's 10 chapters though, so baby dots.